Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 303 of the Board Game Barrage podcast. 303 would be a great episode for only 3 of us to be on the show, but we are 4.
The full team is here.
Hello, Christina the Blue Tank.
We are 4 for St. Patrick's Day.
That's right.
For
As-
4-leaf
As
clovers.
is tradition.
Hello,
Hello.
Mark the Green Tank.
Hello.
And hello, Kellen the Red Tank.
I am here.
This week, we have just got back from Dice Tower West, and we played a bunch of games. And we're going to be talking about all of those games later in this episode. We're not going to list them all up front. We'll get there when we get there, starting right now.
So a game that we played, a game that Kellen brought and that I have since taken from him, I am now in possession of it, is Faraway. This is a game designed by Johannes Goopy, who I have definitely said the name Goopy before. What game was that? That was
The previous game.
Orichalcum.
was Johannes
Part of
Goopy.
your other hobby, Mark.
Ah.
Don't tell them.
So-
Weird. They don't want to know about your gooping.
Well, my gooping aside, this Goopy was one of the designers on Orichalcum. So that's, if you recognize the name Goopy and me saying it specifically, that's where you recognize it from. And then
It's all perverted all the way down.
also co-designed by Corentin Lebrat, I believe, and published by Pandasaurus Games, which supplied us with the review copy, which again I've taken from Kellen. And for those who are
Yeah,
interested,
so is it a review copy? It was a
What?
review copy for me.
Oh yeah, so it's no longer. So I can do whatever I
Now
want
it's
with
a
it
gift.
now. Okay, all contractual ties have been unbound
Yeah,
now.
so delete that. Delete that out of there.
Did it
I can-
say Kellen on the box, or did it say
What do you
Board
mean?
Game Barrage?
Well, no, but I am board game.
No. I receive our mail. It said Board Game Barrage.
Whoa, spoiled.
Right, but once a transaction has happened from that initial transaction, all legal binding, contracts are off, so I can do whatever I want. I could sell each card for $1 million if I wanted to. Nobody could stop me. Anyhow, so Faraway, and again, if you're interested by this description that I'll eventually get to, you can try the game out on BGA where it's available.
We're
If
not
you're
gonna
interested
let
in
you.
this game that I haven't told you about yet,
That I'm desperately trying to tell you about. So it is a simple. Well, I guess simple is maybe not the adjective I should use for it, but it is a card game. It is a straight ahead card
I'm
game.
dying to know about this game.
me too. I
Let me
wasn't
talk
there
about the
for
art
this one.
first. Let me talk about the background of Mr. Goopy first, because I'm really into him. Anyhow, no, this is a card game, and the way it works is it's a tableau builder. It is basically all your buildings a tableau, and there's no board, there's no real pieces, right? There's no pieces at all, actually. Just two types of cards. The way it works is you're going to be dealt 3 cards. Everybody's going to simultaneously pick one card. The cards are going to be revealed. Then in numerical order, because all the cards have a number on them from lowest to highest, you're going to pick a new card from the display, and you're going to keep doing that until everybody has played 8 cards out, and then the cards are going to be scored. I'll get into scoring later because that's the big twist, big interesting part of the game. But let's talk about sort of like what you're doing in building these cards. So again, the cards all have a number on them, which will determine the order in which you're going to refresh your hand. So if you play a 1 card, or lowest card, which would be a 1, then you're going to pick first from the array. Also, whenever you play a card that is higher than the card you just played, you're going to get this like bonus card to your tableau that is going to sort of enhance your scoring. The cards have a couple of different parts to them. There are like resources that they can show. There are scoring conditions that they'll have. Often the scoring conditions will have some sort of like prerequisite. So in order to score this card, which gives you like 2 points for every antelope head resource, you need to have at least, 2 pineapple symbols. They're not pineapples, but they look like pineapples, and 2 stones. Often they'll have a prerequisite
Are you
and
a
then a
swinger,
scoring
Mark?
condition. What's that?
What? Is
Okay.
this about Goopy still?
I'm always about Goopy. So that's basically the anatomy of a card. It is a number. There are some resources that may be on it, and then there's some scoring condition that is usually on it, often with a prerequisite. And so you're playing those cards out. Again, you're always replenishing your hand of 3 and playing a card out. And then the twist is that once you've laid all your cards out, you're going to actually flip them face down. So your array of 8 cards are going to be now face down. And you're going to flip the latest one you played, the newest one, and you're going to score that one based on the current state of your tableau. In this case, only 1 card being in the tableau because you've only flipped 1 card. So that last card you played often is going to be a card that you're incapable of scoring because you haven't obviously had the resources because all your resources are on the cards that are now face down. And then everybody will do a scoring for that first card. Then everybody will reveal their second cards. Now everybody has 2 cards face up. And now that second card you flipped up, you're going to score. And now you're more likely to score that one if it has a prerequisite because now you have started to build a tableau. You're going to keep doing that until you flip the last card. So now you have 8 face-up cards. And that last card, which you played, again, at the very beginning of the game, is the one where you theoretically have the highest scoring potential because whatever the prerequisite was, whatever the scoring condition was, now there are the most amount of icons face up. So it's a very interesting situation where that first card you played, that one is the one that you're hoping you're going to score the most and the one you have the least worries about getting the prerequisites because you're going to have your full tableau at your disposal at that point. Whereas the last card you played, as you've been building up your tableau, you sort of have that mindset, well, the last card I played is going to be the one that's going to be the easiest because I have all these cards out. But no, this game sort of flips that on its head. Those little extra cards that I mentioned that you can get if you play cards in higher sequential order sort of add to your scoring conditions, add to the resources you have. It's another twist to the game. But that's basically how Faraway works. I wasn't expecting very much. Again, it's a very small box. All it is 2 stacks of cards. But I have enjoyed every play of it. And because it's so easy to play and so quick and has that interesting twist, I have played it at this point now 3 or 4 times because, again, so easy to teach and so quick to play. And have really enjoyed it. I like that tableau twist, as I guess I just coined the phrase. I really enjoyed it. What do you guys think of it? I think you've all
You know
played
what
it,
they
right?
say, Mark? Small box, big game.
That's right. Right. The smaller the box, the bigger the game.
I do think the thing that's like really neat about Faraway is that it's kind of a simple idea, but it's kind of really hard to wrap your head around in practice, at least the first time you play it.
For sure.
Because it's really just, okay, assemble a tableau 1 card at a time, and every card triggers off the previous ones you've played, except that whole idea in reverse time order, right?
Yes.
So it's just a neat thing that you sort of have to really be thinking about how this thing is going to unravel from the right to the left during the course of play. Like, am I going to have enough prerequisites for this card? And what will even be face up that will be scoring at the point in time that I score this? Because the mistake I made in our game of it is I had, cards in the middle of the pack that were scoring off of pineapples, thinking I was going to be scoring my pineapples earlier in the line. Meanwhile, by the time that card flips, none of those pineapples are revealed. So it's an easy mistake to make because you're just not used to thinking about the tableau builders in that way.
I think that this is perfectly designed for the Marks and Nealons of the world.
Go on.
Why are you laughing? That's a compliment. Put it on the box.
The compliment to Mark and Nealon or to the game?
Oh, well, let me finish. Which is to say that it feels like a heavy Eurogamer's light game. Like it's just enough to satisfy that I've got to plan this all out and I'm going to do it, and I don't like that. The thing I like the most about it is that the fact that you can acquire the resources you need on the cards that don't need to go in reverse order, and it's sort of like this twist. That was my strategy, which is like, oh, that's a cute twist. This twist. I'm getting all my resources on the top. It didn't pan out for me, which kind of makes sense. But the art is delightful, a lot going on there, and really, really simple execution. So I think it's quite interesting.
How come you didn't teach me this game, Mark, if you loved teaching it so much?
Oh, I assumed that you'd played it at some point, but
oh, no, I did not.
Okay,
Was
we can
not
play on
invited.
BGA.
I'm just kidding. This is not your fault. I had various, I had to work during the convention. I don't know. These boys told me that the best day of the convention, they came home and they were like, that was a perfect convention day. And that was the day I had to stay home and work. I was glued to my computer for 9 hours. And these people came home and they were just glowing with the joy of a perfect convention day. Anyways, so.
Glowing? After a day at a board game convention?
The 3 of you should have seen
We
your
were
glowing
glowing.
faces. Absolutely
I felt
glowing.
the glow. I will say that Callan says that he didn't fare well in playing the game. None of the 3 of us actually fared well in our first game. We played this with the folks, Monique and Naveen, from Before You Play. And I forget the exact order of finish, although obviously I have it logged. But it was one of them in first, one of them in second, and the three of us in third, fourth, and fifth.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Poor showing.
Poor
from
showing
Board
by the
Game Garage.
VGB boys. Yeah.
Yeah, that just further emphasizes that it's for heavy Euro people. You guys just aren't playing well in your own category. Like I shouldn't have shown up there, right? Not a party game. It's not a light card game. It is a light card game, but it's not my type of light card game.
Well, Kellen, you'll be happy to know that this comes in 4 cover art options, so you can collect all 4 if you're so inclined.
Really?
Yeah.
Are
Something
they
to
all
think about.
white?
The boxes are all white, but the colors of the boxes are blue, red, yellow, and green. Oh,
Oh.
no orange. But
It's like, Mark, I'm like wandering around your house, right? Which I
Okay.
think I'm allowed in every room.
you are.
And I get
One
into
of the few
Neelan's
people, too.
room, which I don't know why I'm in Neelan's room. And
I was sleeping at the time. So it's extra weird.
and I find the Oink Games area, and I'm
Yeah.
excited. Ooh, what Oink Games does he have? You have more than 6 sealed copies of Scout.
All right. We'll talk
and
about that on the
more
Patreon
than
bonus
5
episode.
sealed copies of Deep Sea Adventure.
Right.
You're running a supermarket out of Neelan's room.
That's for the Patreon bonus episode that we're recording after.
What's
this,
going on in there?
where I
I'm like,
reveal all.
I'm
I
with
reveal
like
the
patrons
secrets.
walking around during the game, and I'm like, what is this?
We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about Neelan's first night in the room where spooky things happened.
Spooky things happened.
That's
We were
right.
all frightened.
So that is Faraway by Johannes Goopy. Goopy, I'm going to say it one more time. Corentin Lebrat, and published by Pandasaurus Games, who provided us with a review copy.
Mark, can you make a commitment to me?
I can.
That pineapple symbol in Faraway,
Yeah.
just make a big copy of it, print it out, and then
Okay.
tape it to your hotel door at the next convention we go to.
Okay.
Don't
I
ask
promise that to you.
questions.
I won't.
Why would he do that, Kellen?
Don't ask questions.
Why would he do that, Calvin?
Keep it moving.
Keep it
Mark.
moving.
This
We
is
should
a
talk about
children's
that.
show.
Don't
Yeah.
listen to him.
He agreed.
No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly because I know what it means, and I want some of that, if you know what I mean. I'm eager for it.
I had a really great question that I was going to ask, and now it's gone. It's gone, Kellen. Gone.
Was it about the pineapples?
What are we talking about next?
Christina, why don't you tell us about something you played?
Okay, I'm going to tell you about the latest hotness, the greatest hotness, the hottest hotness, needs no introduction, Medici.
Wow, this is hot.
Kellen. Kellen got too excited over here over Medici.
It was so hot it burned his fingertips.
Obviously, this is not the latest hotness, but I had never played Medici. Can you guys believe that I'd never played Medici?
I cannot believe that. It's a
Neelan?
classic.
I think I've already played it once before, so I'm
Helen?
grateful you played it because that's great.
I am shocked and dismayed that you have
Thank
not played
you.
Medici.
As everyone knows, as I said, this game needs no introduction. I'll give a very, very short one anyways, because this is a Reiner Knizia auction classic. That's really all I prepared to say about it, because in my mind, I was thinking it needs no
That was a
introduction.
short introduction.
But I guess I could describe a few other things. One thing I did want to say is that this is going to have a reprint soon, which I'm going to have Kellen talk about because I don't know the details of the reprint. But I'm excited about the reprint because that was one of my issues, is the board was annoying to read. But that was my only issue, actually. I said one of my issues, only issue. I absolutely loved this, at least my first play of it. Obviously, this is a hot take. I'm going to play it more times now that I know that it's so classically amazing. So basically, very short, not as short as the intro, but short description of how this game works. This is an auction game. You are bidding with your points, and everybody has like a ship. You're trying to fill up your ships. Each player is putting out up to 3 cards for each bid, and then the whole table can go around and bid on the 3 cards that the turn player is putting out. Obviously, the person with the highest bid wins those 3 cards, and then once all of the players have filled up their ships or the deck runs out, that's when the round ends. This does occasionally mean that not everybody gets to fill up their ships. That only happened to us once in our game, but it was really fun when it happened. Probably not for the players who didn't get to fill up their ships, but this was it just had so much of that classic auction tension, and there were just so many really fun decisions about when to hold back and how many of your points you you wanted to bid. Because another really fun thing about this auction format, I guess, is that you are literally moving your points backwards as you bid, which just like it actually feels worse than having money. Even if you know the money at the end of the game is going to be points, it feels worse to physically move your point tracker back. And so I think it made me more conservative because I was just like, I'm not giving up that many points. Are you kidding me? This was an incredible game. It was so much fun. We had a really, really good group playing it, so that also heightens the adventure and joy of the game.
You had a really good group playing it, but I wasn't playing it, so I don't really know.
Yeah, none of you were playing it, actually.
So
I was
how's
not
this a
playing
good
this
group?
with
I don't
any
get
of
this.
you.
Wait, excuse me?
You were there,
Were you
Neelan?
not?
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, Christina. Don't feel bad about that. Don't feel bad about
That is
Wait, Neelan.
the
you're
harshest thing you've ever said.
I'm so sorry.
You're incredulous at the idea that I was there playing it with you.
I really don't remember you being there.
Yeah, no, it happens to
Making it
everybody.
worse,
It happens to everybody.
Christina.
It happens to everybody, Christina. Don't worry about it.
There's
Neil was
just,
sleeping
like-
in my bed, and I totally forgot. So it's fine.
There's several people who were patrons who were playing that game who I have vivid memories of, but I don't have a vivid memory of Neelan.
So
And weirdly, none of them remember me being there either.
Are you sure you were there? Wait, so you're saying this was your second time playing Medici?
yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I assumed everyone had played Medici hundreds of times because of how great it is. Did you like it, Neelan?
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it the first time I played it. I loved it this time. I will, if a reprint happens, which seems to be hard to confirm, I will definitely be picking it up. Yeah, because it's very pure. All you're bidding on are these cards. The cards are resources and like some point value. It has like a raw level of kind of just simplicity to like the structure of it. It's lovely.
wait, Neelan. So you're sure this is the second time you ever played it?
Pretty sure.
Okay, because I was looking at my log here, and I have not confirmed whether Neelan has played it more than once, but I can just say I know that Neelan has played it at least one time with me. I'm taking his word for it. So this is the and to be clear, Christina, I did not remember playing with Neelan either. So
Wow.
but Neelan, you did win this game. So
yeah, I do. That's the one thing I do remember is I did very well because it was at Dean's place. I remember doing very well.
it was July 27th, 2019.
There we go.
Wow, look at that.
Were we ever
I
so
love
young?
when you guys track the games we
That's
play.
right. That's
What?
right.
I love it. Are you kidding? This is amazing. We're reliving a memory right here, right
Exactly.
now because of this.
Yeah,
Because
we're
he knows
reliving
that
a
it was
memory that
July
neither of you had.
2019. What a vivid memory! It was
Yeah.
July of 2019.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that sets the context.
That evokes.
It was pre-COVID.
Pre-pandemic,
It was
yeah.
at Dean's house.
The world
we know
was-
which of Dean's house it was.
Yeah, exactly what's going
Neelan
on.
remembers it. We don't remember Neelan, but Neelan
Aaron was
remembers
there.
it, and that's what matters.
Adam was there. Dean was there. Emma was there. I was there.
Yeah.
We were
That's
all
funny.
there.
I've played it one time, and I would have assumed it was in this game, but it wasn't in this game. So,
When did you play it?
oh,
Maybe you would know if you would have tracked it. I'm just kidding. When did you play it?
I played it at a board game meetup that we did in Los Angeles because it plays at high player counts, right? Which I think
Yeah.
we're bearing the
Yeah.
lead there, like quite good at
Yes.
6.
We played it with, was it 6, Neelan? Now that I know.
Neelan's
it was-
the 6.
Neelan was the 7.
Yeah, it was thereabouts.
Yeah.
I was the 7th or 0th, depending on who you ask.
I would say that I will just end this segment by saying modern
Wait,
art.
no, I want
is
to end it that
greater
way.
than
I want to, Kellen,
Medici,
you're stealing
which
my
is
thunder.
greater than Raw.
I was going to ask the question to all of you. Ignore everything Kellen just said. We don't care about his answer.
Yeah.
What do we think about when we're comparing the three? Because you have to.
Yeah.
Modern art, Medici, and Raw. I've actually never played Raw, unless
Okay.
Mark says otherwise.
That
check.
is
I'm
criminal.
Pretty sure I've never
We
played
should do
Raw.
that at some point.
It's
So,
literally right behind you.
yeah, I know, but
You can see it in frame.
Yeah, but I haven't. I can see it in frame, but I haven't played it, and I just don't think that's my fault, frankly. You can't play an auction game by yourself, Kellen.
That's true, Kellen.
Okay, sorry, Mark. What do you think between the three?
I mean, sadly for what we're talking about, it's close. They're all great. I don't know if we actually said this is like considered the Knizia auction trilogy, but for me, it's Raw is one of my favorite games of all time. Modern Art is somewhere there as well, and then Medici is just off for me. But I do love it. It's a great game.
Too easy to cheat in Raw. So
That's true. That's true.
Is that
Yeah,
the cheating game?
yeah, that's a cheating
Yes.
game.
I don't know if we're supposed to talk about.
No, we
this.
are.
Okay.
Patrons know the story. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Now I really got to play it. Man, cheating in an auction game. Why?
a thing
funny.
like that.
A thing like that. All right, anyway, so that's Medici.
So we played another Reiner Knizia game. This one newer. This is MLEM Space Agency. Is that the actual title of it? I think that's the title of it. MLEM Space Agency, MLEM. This is about getting your cat astronauts into space. It is kind of like a communal push your luck game. The idea being on everyone's turn, you are commander of the ship. Everyone chooses in turn order one of their cats. They have special powers to put on the rocket ship, and then you're going to roll a bunch of dice to move your rockets along a track. Now, every step of the track has which symbols on the dice or which numbers on the dice you need to advance X number of spaces. So you're going to roll the group of 6 dice at the start, and if there's a 3 on your space, then you can take any selection of those 3, or rather, you have to take all of the 3s if you want to, and move that many spaces forward. So if you rolled 3 3s, you move 9 spaces forward, great, you're moving all the way along the track. Except you're going to take those 3 dice, remove them from the pool, and now you're only rolling 3 dice. It becomes a question of continue rolling. As the commander, you're the one that makes that choice. Decide how far you want to go. But every time you stop, everyone gets a chance to get out. Like, do they have faith that the mission's going to go any further? Do they just want to grab the points of where they're at? Obviously, the points are getting better and better and better as you go further down the track. And there's a lot of points if you get all the way to the top, which never happened in our game. But it's this fun idea of, like, how far do I think that we can go? And then you have people at every step of the way sort of corralling everyone, going like, okay, well, this is it. We're going to make it all the way to the top. And then Kellen jumps out because he has no faith in the mission, and he brought his saboteur cat, and now we've lost another die. There's little fun moments like that. The special powers you have for each of your cats are like doubling points on specific types of objectives. Some of the points are kind of area majority type situations where you not just want to get one cat there, you want to get more cats than any other player to get more points. And then there are other special powers that like either buff or hurt the ship for everyone that gets left behind.
Can we call them minor modifiers instead of special powers?
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's fair. If
these were superheroes, they would be the worst superheroes of all time.
Yeah, they're not amazing, but like, you know, doubling like some of the moon counts, for example,
scores double in the stars.
Exactly, can be quite a lot sometimes. But it's very situational. It's very, very silly. You're in and out of it in like 45 minutes. I thought this was a delight. I played this a couple of times over the course of the weekend. It seems like, if not for how incredibly obnoxious the theme is, another Reiner Knizia hit. What did you guys think of MLEM?
I love this game. I was going to talk about this if Neelan wasn't, because we played this several times over the course of the weekend, and every single time it was just such a blast. My question, because in none of our games did we reach whatever it's called, the stars, outer space, wherever we were trying to get to. We did not get there ever. And I'm curious if anyone ever gets there.
So, I mean, I have done it once before. So I had played this once on BGA prior to like buying the in-production version, and we hit outer space, I think twice in that game, actually. And actually that brings me to a point that I want to say, that if you have only played this on BGA and came away with like a pretty poor impression of it, I would urge you not to factor that into like your consideration of the game. Purely mechanically, I think that the game doesn't really work asynchronously at all. Like, it wants everyone to be active and talking to each other and shouting and cheering as dice are being rolled.
Yeah, because that is definitely the most fun part, at least for me, was the person who's leading would be like, all right, you guys, we're going to the stars this time. Are we going to do it? And we'd all be like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. So Neelan puts in his double stars. I put in my double stars. Mark puts in his and then Kellen comes in with like, yeah, we're going to do it, and puts in his saboteur die. And it's so silly. It's so much fun. We're yelling at each other, laughing the whole time. And you're having to make the decision at every stop. Should I abandon ship? And it's just hilarious. There's like so many hilarious moments that ensue. It's great.
I don't know, guys.
Oh my God. Here comes the saboteur.
There's a lot of things. You know, first of all, the jury's still out on space. So let's start there. No, the second thing, I think that the main fun of the game is we're on a shared mission together and like we're going to the moon. And that is a direct repeat of the feeling that I feel in both Deep Sea Adventure and the feeling that I feel a little bit, and even more one-to-one in Celestia, which is an old push-your-luck game where like I'm the captain and then someone jumps out of the ship and then you're the captain now, and it's like literally that exact delight. And so this is just like a different mechanical version of that. So that initial like, oh my God, this is so funny and fun, I was just like been there, done that next, you know, kind of sort of thing. And then the second thing is that the name and the theme and the art is sort of like exactly what I fear people think when they say, oh, what do you like to do? And I say board games. Like MLEM, if that's what they perceive, it's doing a
So
disservice
it's a branding problem.
to the hobby.
Okay, so what game do you want to tell them that you play?
Raw.
Yeah, is it Raw? I was thinking.
No, I think there's
Cthulhu
a
Wars.
no. Christina. I think there's a bunch of games, like sort of, you know, classic hexagons. You know, there's a little bit of like
I love that game, Classic Hexagons. That's my favorite.
like Root would be a cool one that I would want them to be like, wow,
I mean,
that
how
looks
far is
pretty.
Root from Lem? It's not. I mean, the title. I'm not gonna. Nobody can defend the title.
The art has cats in NASA suits. Mark,
seen
how
Root?
Mark, how much further apart could you get?
Root is like animals fighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say
in the
No, no, no.
forest.
Yeah, cats as
Okay,
Robin Hood.
this Lem looks like AI art. It literally looks like astronaut of cat in space as like a joke. You're telling me that Root and MLEM are more similar than I think they are?
Yes. That's what I'm telling you.
Yes, but I actually am with you. I don't like the theme of Blem at all. I think the art is good, but garish and kind of. I want to say it's a well-produced game. I think the art is quite good for the theme it's going for. I just don't care for the theme at all. It's kind of like internet memery writ large as a
that's true.
theme. Like, you know.
It's like, how do you feel, Neelan, when I ask you, what does MLEM mean?
Yeah, exactly. Having to even explain why the game is called Blem just makes me want to like pull my hair out. So.
That said, the space theme works because you're trying to like.
100%.
Go
This could have just
far.
been
Yeah.
astronauts, and I would love it.
I rest my case.
I will say that again, like across the board, the production values are nuts. Like even in the base game, which is not a very expensive game, it's got a neoprene mat, which is the whole space track. Lovely game. I had a lot of fun with it. Would recommend it if you're into that sort of silly group communal fun times vibe. That is MLEM. Kellen.
We had a chance to play, and I think all of us played, but maybe who can remember, Neelan, a couple games of a party game called Ito. This is a Japanese game, ITO, that does have an English copy, because I saw an English copy and maybe saw a publisher is bringing it to America this year. It is, strangely enough, a combination of the Mind and Wavelength, two Wolfgang Warsch games. This game, not designed by Wolfgang Warsch, is a game where you are trying to play cards in ascending order from 1 to 100. You can play this with a lot of people. Everyone gets one card. And then you have to play them in order. So this sounds like literally exactly like the Mind. So how does it differ? Well, you're also given a category. For instance, the category could be amazing animals. And then everyone has to go around the table and say what animal they are on a scale of 0 to 100 based on their card. Christina could have a 7, so she says that she is plankton. And Neelan is a 70 or 80, so he thinks he's some kind of legendary griffin. And, you know, you're sort of trying to figure out where you are, but you can continue to converse. So it's not just one word, it's not just one thing. You can sort of ask questions about their animal, like, well, how big is the plankton? Or, you know, if someone else has like a 11, you're sort of having to negotiate with each other in the same way that you play the Mind. You do this with one card, you have a certain health. You do this with 2 cards, then you do it with 3 cards, and then you win the game of Ito. I found this to be super excellent. Super excellent, so much so that I'm trying to figure out how to play it with my co-workers. I've had some really funny, stupid conversations. Neelan, did you play this?
I played it once, right at the tail end with Mark and.
Oh,
a
not
couple of
even
friends.
with me.
No. I did not play it with you. I played later in the weekend.
How did your game go?
I was impressed by it, but I do think it does have mind-adjacent problems, which is to say that like either you enforce everyone plays by a specific rule set, or the game kind of like breaks down a little bit. But
Yeah.
I do think that like the game is fun even with that caveat. Like absolutely.
I think that all of the games of this sort of limited communication mode, including like Hanabi and the Mind and this, are an exercise in like how much people are willing to break the rules
Right.
together. And so there's a little bit of what's the line that you're willing to enforce and how do you sort of moderate it, which is something that I was trying to do in the games that I was running, is sort of like stopping people. Like we got to a point where it was like, what's a gift? It's like the gift was the category. And so, someone had a low card and there's like a kick in the pants, and then someone was like a Chick-fil-A gift card. And then someone was trying to get them to say like how much money was on the Chick-fil-A gift card on a scale of 1 to 100. And I'm like, all right, guys, like, yes, this is a $37 Chick-fil-A gift card. So I think you can get around it, but I agree with you, especially in the mind. It's like literally, the mind is literally just how does your group learn to cheat together the game? And that's fine with me. Christina, you played Ito. Mark, you played Ito. How are you feeling about this? Excited for a future version of it? Pick it up? Or do you feel like it's the same as Wavelength or the Mind?
No, I loved it. I mean, it's so close to the Mind and Wavelength that it's like, if you have a copy of the Mind, it's like super proxyable. You basically can do the game in a second. But I really enjoyed it. I played it, I think, 3 times over the course of the convention, and I really enjoyed it every time. I'll say that if you're in a group where the whole rules enforcing becomes like an issue or is going to be an issue, like that's just the wrong group. You should enforce it, but as soon as somebody says, oh, you can't say that, everybody should be like, okay, then we won't do that. This is not a game where you want to really have to worry about skirting around what's legal and what's not. This is a very loose, fun. The whole thing about you're allowed to talk as much as you want is like the game. It's like where the fun is. The being incredulous that somebody is like says they're a Subway sandwich, and another person says, well, I'm a slightly more stale Subway sandwich, and like the jokes there are like where all the enjoyment is. It's not about necessarily like making sure that we do everything we can to win. It's all about the conversation. So yeah, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, Mark, I think you were in the game with the Chick-fil-A gift card,
I was,
right? Because then the game became like, how close to the Chick-fil-A is your gift? Yeah. And it's like, I'm nowhere near the Chick-fil-A. The Chick-fil-A number came out. It's like, listen, we're not even in the parking lot anymore. Like, we're way gone.
And this is getting into the mechanics of the game, and I won't dive into it too much, but like, you're playing the cards, you're trying to play them in, numerical order, ascending numerical order, and somebody played like a 51 or something. And then, if somebody plays a 51 and you have a 52, you want to immediately play it because nobody else can be in between. But if you have like a 53 or 54, you have to be a little cautious. Like, even though it's likely it's you, it's not necessarily it's you. And we had a situation in that very same game. I think the topic was like foods, or it could be gifts. It could still be gifts. I can't remember. But somebody, said, okay, I'm a turkey sandwich. I think it was turkey sandwich. And they flipped the card and they were like 56 or something. And, somebody seemed very sure that they should be next, but again, not so sure that they were like the next number. And there was somebody else who thought they might be the next person. And he's like, one person said, okay, I'm a turkey sandwich, but I'm a slightly nicer turkey sandwich. And then the other person said, I am the same turkey sandwich. Like, I am the same turkey sandwich.
We had a few moments like that, too,
Yeah.
which I think happens. And you're right. Those are the delightful moments in this game where that your description of something is so close to the person sitting next to you or whatever. And you're just kind of like, okay, let's go into more detail. And having to go into more detail about a turkey sandwich or something that like you came up with kind of quickly.
Yeah. And
then you're just like, oh my gosh. Okay, let me add detail and try to figure out if mine is 53 or 54. If theirs is 53 or 54, whatever. Like, It's very silly. It's very fun.
You also can change your clue, in response to stuff that has come out. We had a round where it was like things you would want in the case that you got snowed in the mountains.
Yeah.
And I was in the 20s, and so I said like a children's flashlight. And then someone else played an 11, and their 11 was a broken leg.
Oh my God.
And so the scales were just so off. I'm like, the flashlight's broken. There's no batteries in it. I'm having to like quickly try it because everyone's like, oh, on a scale of broken leg to flashlight, like flashlight must be in the 80s. And I'm like, no. Like, this is not working anymore, guys.
Yeah, when it breaks down because of your own understanding of scale or somebody else's, like, that's where it gets so hilarious and fun.
Yeah, I think this is excellent, and I have a very high prognosis. I do wonder, some of the adjudication is like Japanese translated, so I do wonder how the American versions will sort of say, here's what you can and what you can't talk about, because it is one of those sort of asterisks, but I think everyone I played it with had the right spirit, but I'm kind of curious offline about where someone try-harded the shit out of it and how that went.
Is this what you want people to think of when they think of board games?
Yes. Everyone loving each other and talking in deep discourse.
About Chick-fil-A gift cards.
And that is Ito, I-T-O. There is another version of Ito called Ito Rainbow, which you actually play the cards out more like fun facts as opposed to the mind, meaning you put out your card and you put a token on it and then you're sort of rearranging them with everybody and then they're all revealed at once. I believe that's a little bit more the gamer's version of Ito, but probably not something I would like as much, though I do own both, so we will be trying Ito Rainbow. Why are you laughing?
What does Ito mean in Japanese?
Who can say?
Well, every time you say it, I think of Spanish because it's a diminutive in Spanish. You add it to any word and it's like cute and little.
That's right. That's me.
And it's
Well, one of those. Sorry, say that. Take that out, Mark. Stop laughing.
all right.
All right. I would say that Ito was probably my second favorite new to me game at the convention, but my favorite new to me game at the convention was a game I'd never heard about, but I guess there was some level of buzz to it. This was Cascadero, yet another Knizia. This has been a episode chock full of Knizias, but
When is it not?
yeah, it's true. So Cascadero is a new game by Rainer Knizia. This was a review copy that was lent to us, I guess, by Bitewing Games, who are going to be releasing the game. And Cascadero sort of has, if you're looking for an analogous game, you're thinking of Through the Desert and Blue Lagoon, I think, are the two most similar Knizia games. Although it has more of an infrastructure sort of bent to it, and so I'll explain. So Cascadero, it's a game that is actually chock full of tracks. And so there are 4 colors that both the players represent. So, you'll have a player color that's either blue, yellow, orange, or red. But there also are blue, orange, yellow, and red towns in the game. And there's also like white town. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically move up these tracks to score points. And it's a game where it has one of the Knizia twists is that the game will end immediately when somebody scores 50 points. So there is a race aspect to it where you're trying to race up the score track as quickly as possible. But the way you're doing that is, again, based on moving up these multicolored tracks. And the way you do is by putting your tokens, again, a la Through the Desert and Blue Lagoon, where you're placing tokens next to each other, sort of forming like lines as you would in a game like Go, for example. And you're trying to have these connections to these different colored cities, and they will move you up the track. So if you get a connection to an orange track, you move up to Orange City, yellow, you move up yellow. But a twist here is that if you're the first person to sort of establish contact to a city, say an orange city, if you're the first person to go there, you move up 1 up the track. But if you're the second or beyond, second, third, whatever person to get up to connect to a city, you move up 2 on the track. So it's a game, again, of like shared incentives where you want to make sure you go up on these different tracks as best as you can, but you're best incentivized to do it when somebody else has already been there. So you want to sort of build your lines adjacent to other players. And that forces a sort of like a cramped nature. It forces situations where, yes, I want to be like next to Nealon's pieces because I'm more likely to move up track quickly. But if I am next to Nealon's pieces, he can strategically block me out of going to places I want to go to. Furthermore, this is a Knizia twist. I would consider this is like the Knizia twist, is that you're only qualified to win the game, no matter what your score is, if you max out your own color track. So if I'm the blue player, I can only win the game, no matter what my score is at the end of the game. I am only eligible to win if I've maxed out my blue track, if I've hit enough blue cities to max out my blue track, which is an interesting aspect. There's also other ways to score, like connecting the same color city, connecting 3 of a kind, a bunch of different ways. So it sort of will force you to choose between having like one long line of connected pawns versus spreading it out to make sure you've gone up multiple tracks. I just really, really loved it. It felt very like classic Knizia, these route building games, like very much more Through the Desert than Blue Lagoon, but not necessarily anywhere near like a clone of Through the Desert. But if you like that sort of Go-esque vibe where you're trying to get to a place and you have a lot of pressure considerations like, oh, should I continue on this line because I need to hit that blue city, or should I abandon it and do something else because of the tempo considerations? Cascadero is a game that I think you'll really enjoy. But I played it a couple times at the convention. It's simple enough that after the first time playing it, I was able to teach it to a couple groups directly after without really consulting the rulebook. So has that Knizia like low level of rules grit to it. Just really loved it. I will be definitely purchasing this as soon as I can.
It also had a little bit of like that, with the way that the tracks combo with each other, because there are spots on the track where you get powers, and some of those powers allow you to place more things or move pieces or stuff like that, where you have a little bit of the Gunshot's clever, like a track which triggers a track nature to it, which is something I always like. There's a little bit of that in Malefiori as well. I will say it's definitely more complicated than both Through the Desert and Blue Lagoon. So while it does like evoke that feeling, it's definitely like a cognitive step up from both of those, I would say.
Yeah, perhaps cognitive. I would not say necessarily much of a rule step up, but yeah, there's more to consider, sure.
It's like, and I don't know if it's just because of the hexes, like, or the train games. Like, I think more of like Baby Stevenson's Rocket, but even that's not like a great reference. I think that the consideration that the first person to a place gets a little, and then the second person and on gets more, is kind of the crux of the fun, because you can't just go it alone in the corner and like everybody leaves you alone and you just have a good time and then win the game. So you have to be in the fray, but not so in the fray that your route gets blocked. And so that's sort of keeping everyone like touching each other, which is strange in these games sometimes. And even in Through the Desert, it's like if you can block off a corner, like that's sometimes your path to victory, like if no one gets in there in front of you. And in this one, you are sort of forced to do it in order to win. I will say that, and I don't, I've only played it the one time mark compared to you, the sort of twist of you must score on your own color made me kind of think of Ingenious, where I was hoping that I could just like block you out of blue like entirely, so it's like near the end of the game, you're winning on score, but like if we all just combine and like cover every blue thing, like you just lose automatically. And it did seem like that wasn't really possible to do to someone. It would be way inefficient, but it did seem like there would likely always be a way for you to get those points. And that's neither here nor there. That's probably right for the Euro crowd that this is like closer to, but I was just hoping for that sort of ability to just like jam it in. Though I did lose the game, I think, because near the end I just couldn't get to the top and then had to just sacrifice everything in order to do it. I
will say that you did lose it, but you definitely did not lose it as hard as who finished fourth in our game, one Mike Delicio, who
I feel so bad about this.
What's that?
I feel so bad about this.
You feel so? I love this. This was his most anticipated game of the year, and yet when he played us, he got crushed. It was like I won, Nealon was close, Kellen was close, and then Delicio was like, "Where is his scoring pawn?" Like couldn't even see it from where we were sitting. It was embarrassment.
But it was mostly because of like my boots planted in his shoulders. Like
sure.
Inadvertently at every point I was blocking Mike Delicio, even though it wasn't like an attack against him. It was just like, well, this is definitely my best move. Sorry for the fifth time, Mike.
Hey, whatever it takes to crush him. So that is Cascadero by Reiner Knizia and published by Bitewing Games. There's also, I'm less excited about this, I guess there's a Cascadito. There's our Ito. Yeah, your Ito, which is, I guess, a roll and write version of this, which I have no idea about, but again, less inclined because of roll and write. But if that's your thing, maybe that's a potential avenue. So that's
if you hate people but love Reiner Knizia, Cascadito.
How long do you think it would take if the four of us, without sleeping, sat down and played every single Reiner Knizia game back to back without eating, sleeping?
Wait, why do we have to do without eating?
Okay, we can eat.
Yeah, this feels...
Yeah, let's do it for charity.
I don't think it's even possible.
What?
Because of this lack of sleep.
Isn't there over 1,000?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of not so great
possible.
Ones.
Yeah, but like if you... even if you, like without sleeping, it's actually probably not possible.
Okay, fine. We can sleep. We can eat and sleep, all right? We can eat and sleep.
But no drinking.
No drinking. I thought it was a fun idea.
Yeah, we should do it. We should do it for charity. Knizia Games in the top 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
For children.
And we can, we can cut out things. We can cut out the Itos.
The Itos are gone. No Itos. List, Yeah. What do you think about that, Kellen, for the children?
There's nothing I can say that won't be misconstrued.
All right. Am I up next?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to be talking next about Mino dice. Mino, I know we've all been saying Mino dice, but is it really Mino dice?
No.
Because it's a minotaur.
That's right.
So isn't it like minnow dice?
Probably.
Oh, you've already thought about this.
No, I got corrected like 10 times when I brought this up.
Oh, so it is incorrect. We know for a
but
fact.
Isn't it better to say Mino dice?
Mino dice sounds better.
Exactly.
But the whole time we were playing, I was thinking, I think it should be minnow dice.
Well, it's not a real animal, right?
A minotaur?
A minotaur?
Anyways, if you call it Mino dice, that's all right. If you call it minnow dice, you're probably correct. But we're going to call it Mino dice for the sake of fun. Okay, so Mino dice, which was a new to me game at the con, is a trick-taking dice game. So this is a la Skull King, a la... Kellen hates me. Kellen's shaking his head. Okay, Kellen, a la Wizard.
Thank you.
The one, the only, the true... Wizard,
Which is not a copy of Oh Hell.
which is a copy of Oh Hell.
Listen.
So here we have a very beautiful, I think, evolution from Oh Hell to Wizard to Skull King to what is essentially Skull King the dice game, which I think it was originally published as Skull King the dice game.
Unfortunately.
Okay. No, not unfortunately. Fortunately, these games are amazing. We actually did a really wonderful thing, which was I'd never played Skull King or Mino Dice. We played Mino Dice and then immediately played Skull King. And I just had the time of my life. It was amazing.
Nice.
So let me tell you what Mino Dice is. I already told you. It's a trick-taking dice game. There are 6 to 8 rounds, and each round, 6 to 8 depending on how many players, each round you are playing the amount of dice of the round. For example, if it's round 1, you are literally given 1 die per player, which this is just, it blew my mind. Obviously, it didn't blow Kellen's mind because he loves Wizard. But I just thought that was really fun. So you're just escalating. Round 2, you get 2 dice, 3, etc. And so it's really fun as even just a way to learn the game, because you're kind of like gathering rules as you go. It really is a game you can jump right into. Like you can understand like 2 things and then jump into it. And everybody rolls their die. There are tons of special powers that make it super fun. There's the Minotaur, of course. And I think that is the gist of it, especially because this was recently reviewed, I believe, on the Board Game Barrage podcast. I would give you a episode number if I had one, but I do not.
Do you even listen to the show?
I do not.
Wow.
Sometimes.
I don't either.
Actually, I was having a conversation with people at the patron night, and they were like teaching me a new game, and they were like, the Board Game Barrage covered this game. And I was like, oh yes, of course. Sometimes I listen. Anyways, I had so much fun with Mino Dice. What do you all think of Mino Dice?
I have not minnowed, so I cannot speak.
I have
to
not
it.
played it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised. I
am too.
It's funny, Neil, and I just forget you in every game I do or don't
I mean,
play
apparently. Yeah, actually, we did play this, Christina. I'm shocked you don't remember.
with you. Yeah.
No, I have not played it. I want to play it at some point. It sounds like I would enjoy it.
But you've played
for
Skull King?
I've not played Skull King. I have played Wizard.
Oh. Mark, have you played Skull King?
I played Skull King, yeah.
Okay.
It's like I've played Minnow Dice a couple more times now, or Mino Dice. Now I can't get my tars in order here, but it's very fun and very dumb, and like
it basically makes a party game out of Wizard, right?
yes. And so there's sort of a line where Wizard is a little bit more try hard, Skull King is a little bit sillier, and then Mino Dice is sort of like we just don't care, we're having a party. And, I kind of gravitate towards the ends of those polls, which is like if I want to play a hardcore game, I'm playing Wizard, and if I just want to goof around, Mino Dice is great. I think this is really good and really dumb, but I do think that you must like trick-taking games and be kind of a gamer. I just feel like if I busted this out with my family, they'd be like, the f*** is this? Like, it's just like, you want me to bid on what I'm going to roll these 2 dice and that they're going to come up high or not, and you're like, exactly, you get it now.
It is one of those things where when they were teaching me the rules, again, like telling me the 2 rules that I needed to know before jumping in, I was like, wait, what do you mean I'm rolling a die? Like, how? And they're like, don't worry, just do it, you'll see. And it is so silly and so fun. It's amazing.
Yeah, it isn't. It's like in other bidding games, right? You might roll a bunch of dice, have them behind your screen, and then need to bid on this. But in this one, you only know the type of dice you have, and then you bid, and then you just literally roll them and pray that you get the right result. Very funny.
Very funny. Very fun. Neelan was deep in a game of...
Oh yeah, I was playing Procyon. No, Defense
Defense
of
of
Procyon
Procyon.
3 at the next door table
And
for
Neil-
like 6 hours.
And we
Did
were
I
being
tell
very
you?
loud.
Did I
with
tell
Mino dice.
you not to do that?
You may have. You may
And-
have.
and-
I regret nothing. I think some of the
I don't think
circumstances.
that's true.
I mean, some of the circumstances around like how long it took us to get going could have been better. But you know, that's neither here nor there. Great game.
I
great
think
game.
you would have had more fun if you didn't hear us having so much
much
fun
fun
next
playing-
door
yeah,
playing Mino
Exactly.
dice.
If I wasn't thinking the whole time that I should have been playing Mino Dice, then yeah. Another game that Christina, Mark, and I played, and this we were basically playing as we were prepping to get out the door on Sunday afternoon, was Unboxed. I spoke about this briefly on a bonus episode recently, but the premise here is that this is a cooperative game, you know, and it's one of those styles of cooperative games that you could just as easily do solo as with any number of players. You are just effectively trying to solve a puzzle together. In this case, a series of 10 puzzles. And the cool, clever idea here is that what each of these puzzles is figure out the rules for this board game. Like, it's themed around this idea that you found like a board and components and now figure out what their actual rules are. And that takes the form of like questions, and sometimes like, okay, what is the ideal setup for this game? What is the win condition? What are players allowed to do on their turn? And then you answer those questions, and as close as you get to the answers, you're going to get points. None of that really matters so much as the fun of solving the puzzle of it. But some of that comes in the form of like, okay, I can see based on these cards that there's probably some sort of arrangement. They kind of look domino-esque. Do I think they're going to go in this order? A lot of it comes from deciphering what are effectively like rule sheets in hieroglyphics. So there's this element of like, based on your knowledge, and the thing that's actually kind of so wild about this, it is really quite, you are going to have a good time of this if you're familiar with board games, and you're not if you don't. It won't work unless you have some idea of having seen some of all these mechanics before. I almost don't want to spoil any of it, but it's kind of just like, okay, I recognize that this mechanic could be this system, or based on another game, okay, I feel like this would work like this. It kind of feels like there's a two-phase nature to this, and you're doing one thing in the first half to set up for the second half, and stuff like that. And when you sort of just hit on it, it feels really good. It kind of feels like you're just unlocking like something, every 5 minutes, or you're sitting at the table like scrabbling over these components for a long time, scratching your head trying to figure it out, and then an idea just emerges, and you're like, oh yeah, that could be it. And you start fiddling with the components, and you realize it works and it's consistent with everything you've seen, and it's just this really great like feel good moment when it like all clicks together.
Yeah, I feel like feel good is the perfect descriptor for it, because that's what I was thinking. It's just like this very cozy kind of feeling. And there were literally like minutes where you and me and Mark would just sit there staring, thinking, saying nothing, just in silence. And then there's like oh, what if this served as this? And like, even if that particular idea was completely wrong, it was still just like this very fun, almost creative task of like, what if you could use this for like this sort of tactic that, might make sense, but is kind of weird. And then you kind of talk back and forth about it. Then somebody else throws an idea. And then 10 minutes later, you come back to something somebody said previously. And you're like, oh, wait, now it makes sense because we figured out this other piece. So it's just like this group puzzle that has like a little added layer of creativity to it, I think, that was really nice and cozy and sweet. It was very good.
Yeah, I would say that for the most part that the puzzles are designed well enough that when you have an idea, there's usually, if it's a wrong idea, there's usually some reason that it's wrong. Like you'll be like, well, they wouldn't have done it this way if it was that, so therefore it can't be that, and you go off of that train of thought. Which is to say, I think to the game's credit, that most of the time when we would get to our solution, we were 90% of the way towards like literally having it exactly as they intended. And a lot of the times when we were off, we kind of agreed that there wasn't really any reasonable way to have necessarily gotten to their solution, at least not that we could see.
That's the only thing I was going to say. Not that that was like super annoying, because we all kind of agreed like, yeah, whatever, that doesn't matter. But it was like you would lose a point or something because you didn't get that one little thing. And it was like, we look back and even knowing the solution, you're like, there was no logical way to get there. Like you would have had to guess, and sometimes we guessed it correctly, but sometimes we didn't. So that was a little annoying.
If you would have invited the king of logic to play with you.
This is what I said while we were playing. I was like, well, this never would have happened if Kellen was still here.
You said that?
Yeah, didn't I?
Oh, as
something
in
that
the
direction.
game wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought you were saying we would have solved it. We wouldn't have lost the point.
Oh, you were happy.
I was. I smiled for a little moment.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
it is something that I think is very specific, and I think that if that description sounds exciting to you, you will enjoy this. It is, exit the game adjacent if you wanted something comparable. And even though we barreled through all 10 puzzles, in what was a good chunk of the afternoon, I have no regrets about that experience. This actually was a review copy for what it's worth, I should mention, but really thoroughly enjoyed it, is Unboxed.
A game I just have to shout out, and we have to play together. Kevin Evil Lemon on the Discord showed me Beowulf the Legend, which is the Reiner Knizia take on Taj Mahal, but in a different form. And this is the stupidest top deck game of adventure that I've ever played. And I like halfway through the game, I was just like, we all must play this together. I've already bought it because it's so, it's like literally like cool auction game where every turn you're allowed to top deck if you want, and hopefully you get better cards to help you win the auction. It is so funny and fun that like I can't decide whether I loved it or it's like absolutely absurd. And this is what I was doing while you all were screaming downstairs playing Time's Up Title Recall.
I didn't realize until right this second that this was a Knizia game. After all you're raving about it, this is the first time I realized that, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's literally the Taj Mahal mechanism of pulling out like the poker hands. It's like it's very similar, but then everything else is like as dumb as humanly possible. Like we have to do it. The four of us, I think, will have an absolutely excellent time. I cannot know if I can recommend it more widely than that, but man, what an interesting game. The game that has been stuck in my head that I did want to shout out is a small shedding game. Yes, it is. Not from Japan. This is called Of What's Left, or OWL, and this is designed by Taylor of Taylor's Trick Taking. I don't know the name of your channel. I'm sorry, Taylor. And it is being reprinted with more by Bezier Games as Sears catalog. But this is a small shedding game where the sort of twist is that you score 0 points if you are the first one out of cards. And so if you have cards left and you have under 5 cards left, you actually score more points, which sounds absurd because in a shedding game, you're just allowed to pass. So like literally the first hand, someone's like 2 2s, and then everyone else is like pass, 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 because you don't want to be the first person to go out. Then they keep playing cards, pass, 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 pass. And once you have less than 6 cards, you are no longer allowed to pass. So you must play a card if you can play a card, and that includes your wilds. And it wasn't until the second hand that it even sort of clicked for us at the table, which is that you score negative points for each card left in your hand, but the value of one of your cards gets you points. And so if you can bomb people, so it's a game of chicken where it's like you can get to this place where you scoring 0 is great because then everyone else is getting like -5 or -7, but you're sort of like sometimes passing, sometimes coming back in, potentially trying to figure out where you're going to jostle so that you can not be the first person to get rid of all your cards, but be in the hunt. So almost like Schadenfreude-esque, being in the hunt to be the second person to have cards left. This is definitely in the sort of weird trick-taking, shedding game realm. I thought it was excellent. I had to abandon the convention to go to a different convention, one in Austin. Let's keep Austin weird, South by Southwest. And Of What's Left is just a game that I was just thinking about. I'm in a random panel learning about AI, and instead I'm thinking about this game. I will say that the new version's artwork may be the biggest misstep I have ever seen from before to after in the history of board gaming. Like in the history of board gaming. They have brought it into the Werewolf universe. But I don't want to sully a fantastic review. I really like this game. I really want to get a copy with the art that exists. It's very hard to get, and I see people offering like hundreds of dollars to get their own copy of this, so I doubt that I will be getting my own copy of this, but I would rather kill myself than get Sears catalog, and so I'll probably be making my own print and play. Did I sully the review?
Kellen.
What?
Perhaps a little bit of hyperbole in that, but
Mark, did you look at the cover of this?
I have not looked at the cover of Sears.
Look at the cover of Sears catalog.
And it's spelled C, like as a seer,
Like
right?
seer.
Like SEERS.
Yeah, but it's supposed to look like an old catalog.
Yeah.
But
They're
then there's
evoking Sears catalog, but
there's a
like
werewolf
as in
in
the
that.
Sears from Werewolf.
Then there's a werewolf in the corner.
I don't mind it.
No, Mark, you don't say that.
You don't. Say
You take
don't
it back,
say that.
Mark.
Anyway,
I much prefer the anthropomorphic owl cartoon in the night.
it's not about anthropomorphic, Neelan. It's about cats in spacesuits and the sound that they make. It's very clear line. There's a differentiation here.
I do want to say before we end the episode that I would be remiss not to talk about the real game of the convention, which was
Can I
Hold
guess what
Your
it is?
Horses.
It's called Horse Unicorn.
Sorry, Horse Unicorn. This was a delight, and I feel like very sad that I actually did not end up playing this with Kellen, but Mark, Christina, and I played this at various points. It's exceedingly silly. I kind of highly recommend it, which is kind of amazing given how dumb it is. It is simply a deck of 8 horses and a unicorn. Every round of the game, you have a 50-50 chance that you're either playing with all horses or all horses except one card, which is a unicorn. Everyone takes a card, they hold it to their forehead so you can see everyone else's card except your own, and all you have to do in the space of 15 seconds is decide whether you're looking at your own card or not. If you look at your card and it's a horse, you're eliminated. If you look at your card and it's a unicorn, you win and you eliminate someone else. And if you get to the end of 15 seconds and you haven't looked at your card, but it's a unicorn, you're eliminated. And you just keep playing rounds and rounds and rounds of that until you're the last person left. It's extremely dumb. It's kind of a little bit like just like a bluffing, don't look Mark in the eyes too closely because we all want to make him get eliminated because he doesn't realize he has the unicorn. And it takes like 5 minutes to play. It is a easy recommend if you're ever in the market for a button shy game. Just throw it in. With your
How
order.
is this different than In Vito Morte, which is also button shy?
Couldn't tell you.
I think you've played it.
I think it is similar, right?
It's the one where you passing out wine like the Princess Bride, and you can pass out you can pass out poison, but you don't have to, and then everyone has to decide whether to drink their wine or pass their wine.
I think it's like just the real-time nature of it and it being like simultaneous just makes it feel different. It's possible I've played in Vita Morte, but I just don't remember it. But this just feels like it's just like, because it's like you're counting down, and when you get to 3, 2, 1, everyone's having that last-minute panic, should I look or shouldn't I? And like,
Everybody's
it's
holding their card on their forehead.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm actually
no.
literally trying to understand the
just
difference in the rules.
No, I don't know that I remember. Is that
Sure.
also real time, like in the same way?
No.
Oh yeah, then that's probably it. It's probably the same sort of game except with a real time twist, almost certainly. But yeah, dumb fun. Had fun with everyone we showed it to.
So
Hold your horses. Does anyone else have anything that they want to throw in as a last hit from Dice Tower West?
Well, we played a bunch of games, so obviously we could never talk about all of them. I don't have another game in specific, but I did just want to say, and I don't know why, but this year more than ever, I got the feeling of summer camp, which is to say that, like, not the first time ever. I shouldn't say that. I should say, like, the most of that feeling that I ever have. And it makes sense because the more of the same conventions you go to, the more of the same people you see, and the more that it's going to be exciting to see those same people again.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think I've pretty regularly gone to PAX Unplugged and Dice Tower West. And so it's just like, this time especially, and I think part of it is, the event at Mark's house where you're all just like hanging out and talking and playing games and it's, hours and hours. It just felt like summer camp where I was like actually super excited to see people and like catch up and hang out and play games with, like, it was just great. And I think for me, it had a very almost like this New Year reinvigoration of board games for me, where I'm just like, I came out of it feeling like, I want to go home and play more board games. Like, that was so much fun. And it was just so great seeing the people that I got to see and hanging out with the people I got to hang out with. And it was just really, really lovely.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think we're going to be talking more about it in the bonus episode we're about to record, but I totally agree. Like, my only regret about Dice Tower West is I wish it was farther away from my birthday, because it's like a month away from my birthday. So it's like I have 2 fun days too close to each other. I wish they were a little more spread out. But yeah, it was always a highlight of my year, and now it's become like one of the top, I don't know, handful of days I look forward to every year for sure.
Yeah. My only regret was that I didn't get more time at the actual convention for various reasons,
Yeah.
including my many hours of work that I mentioned. But the hours that I were there were very wonderful and well spent. Kellen?
The hours I spent with a cue in my hand were golden.
And that is going to wrap it up for our Dice Tower West bunch of games episode. Thank you all for listening, everybody. Thank you, as always, to Heart Society for our intro and outro song, What's in Your Mind, Kid? You can catch us on all of our social media, whether that is on Twitter, whether that is on Facebook, whether you want to talk to us on Discord. You can head to boardgamebarrage.com/Discord.
Speaking of the Discord, I want to mention something that we just started on the Discord and thank the person who started. User Elongated Muffin has set up a sort of like map that you can go to our Discord and go to the conventions and meetup channel and put in your city and your username and your Discord name and whether or not you're looking for maybe finding other BGBers for local game nights. And so if you're interested in that, we have like a form you can fill out, and then it takes you to a map which sort of puts pins in places where Board Game Barrage listeners are who are looking for local game nights. So that's a thing I thought we should highlight. And again, a big thank you to Elongated Muffin for setting that up.
Yeah, it's always awesome to see, like, even in the scope of conventions like at Dice Tower West, like how useful the Discord becomes for organizing games on that sort of scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if that sounds appealing to you, please head over to the Discord at boardgamebarrage.com/Discord. Hang out and talk to us about the games you played at Dice Tower West. But that is going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm high. I'm ready. I want you to save me from myself.
Yeah, we're going through our time at Dice Tower West, I'd say.
Yep. 3, 2, 1. I like how Christina's hands were a meter apart.
I didn't want to be too early. Okay, ready, Kellen?
Yeah, well, we have to.
What? Oh. Okay, good point.
All right, there's something going
What are
on
we
here.
doing? What is happening?
Kelly and Christina have blacked out their screen.
Oh, I see. This is starting to feel more. What is happening?
Something
Did you get it?
sinister
Like
is going
costume
on. I
change
think.
moment.
Yeah.
3,
2, 1.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic.
Let me
This is great.
I
This is incredible.
It's a visual medium podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
For those
This
not
is going to
watching,
go well on the podcast.
we're going to have to take a screenshot or something.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to do exactly that.
Okay, we took a picture. Don't worry.
Are we
Oh, I
leaving
took
these?
one already. It's
Yeah,
all
we're
good.
leaving them. What are you talking about?
Oh, but this picture's for my mother, right?
Yes, this is for your family.
Got it.
Can I send it to your family?
Sure. She
It
sends
doesn't
us.
recognize my Face ID with these on.
She sends us treats and gifts, and she sent us treats, and the gift was these glasses that are Mark themed.
They're Mark
Well,
Well,
themed.
don't send it to my mom during the episode.
Why not? She wants to
Because
see
we got
it.
we got a thing to do.
We got to
Okay,
get a
fine.
live on episode update of what your mom's reaction is.
Yeah, she's going to be so excited. Okay. Done.
Okay, 303. That's a terrible screenshot I took. Anyway.
You got to warn us if you're taking a screenshot.
Nope.
Well, it's also like,
Feeling.
look at all the clothes that are in the back of the frame.
Yeah. This is not a
all
good
the, all
look.
the better. All the better.
Board games on the floor,
Uh,
clothes on the everywhere.
This is going on
Not
Twitter.
comfortable.
Okay.
I can't wear these.
All right.
It hurts.
His
It does
dignity
hurt.
demands that
No,
he
no,
take
no.
them
It's not
off.
dignity. I don't have that. Yeah, 2 pairs.
Fantastic. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 303